We asked AI to give us the top 5 questions on everybody's mind in the Denver housing market. Then we took those questions to somebody who actually lives and breathes this stuff every single day. Tammy Moran, a principal at the Homebridge Group at eXp Realty, is a 23-year veteran of Denver's housing market. AI gave us the questions, and a seasoned pro gave us the answers. If this helps, hit the subscribe button below. And if you have questions we didn't cover, please reach out online at homebridgegroup.co, that's CO for Colorado, or give us a call at 720-821-4774. Thanks, and let's dive in.
Depends on the day. It's probably not what the internet is telling you, or your neighbor who sold their home during COVID, or your neighbor's price last year. It's none of those things. The market is a daily experience. It's important to understand it is hyper-local, neighborhood by neighborhood, sometimes even block by block. Like if you look at Park Hill, for instance. So the agent, any good agent, will give you comps, right? That's their job. So basically the agent finds things that have sold recently, right? And things that are pending. And I believe things that are active, especially in a more balanced market. You have to know what your competition is right then. We'll look at all the pictures, and then I'll ask you, the seller, what you think your home should be priced when you look at all of this stuff. Now, it's important not to overprice, one, because your home's going to sell on the market, and that could mean you're carrying a mortgage longer than you expected to while doing multiple price reductions. No fun for anybody. But you also don't want to leave money on the table by pricing it too low. And you need to price it where an appraiser is going to be okay with the price, because if it doesn't hit appraisal, very hard to get to the closing table. It can be done, but it makes it much more complicated. I may give you a range, but really it's up to the seller to determine the price. And then a day before market, the seller determines the final price. We look at anything that might have been pending and now is closed, and we look at what we're competing against the day we go on market. That's critical. Because you look at what you're competing against. You look at the homes that are close to your price and how did they do? And you look at the pictures. Well, if the one next door is the same floor plan, but has new furnaces, new roof, kitchen remodeled, master bath is spectacular, well, they might have gotten more money than you're going to get. So you have to be honest with yourself. The seller has to be honest with themselves about what the true condition is. And the real estate agent's job is to go in there, look at it, look at the competition through walkthroughs and previews and everything like this, but to help the seller understand what the real value in their home is. All the good things and all the objections that buyer is going to come up with, and then help the seller price that accordingly. Oh my God, so much more. No, our job is much bigger than that. That is like this little tiny piece at the very, very beginning, right? When you go to meet with the seller for the first or second time. Requirement wise, we have to promote the interest of the client. That means we put the client's financial interests above our own. But really, if you think about it, a win for the client is a win for the agent, right? If we don't get to the closing table, everybody hurts. So my job is to protect your financial interest. It makes so much sense. The other thing we have to really do is keep your confidential information confidential. A seller is not going to want their agent saying how low they're willing to go to get a deal done, nor does a buyer want an agent to explain to the other agent how high they're willing to go. That's confidential information, and that has to be protected. Another one, it might be why a person is moving, right? Some reasons are no big deal, but some actually are pretty personal and intimate and need to be kept that way. And then, of course, anybody working in real estate in Colorado has to disclose any and all adverse material facts known by the agent. That doesn't mean I'm an inspector or your agent is an inspector or a contractor or an engineer or any of those things. But if I'm aware of a material fact that hasn't been disclosed by a seller, I have to disclose it. somewhat depends on the market you're in, right? However, personally, as a full service realtor, I really believe in helping sellers get their home ready for market. I really believe the pre-market stuff is critical. I'm not a stager. Nobody wants me staging their home, but I will bring a stager in to give you the pointers that you should do for your home to get it ready for market. In a more balanced market, when you're competing with more inventory, you really need to go a little bit above and beyond to make sure your home stands out. Your home needs to be a clean, neutral palette that they can imagine themselves in. They may not have money left to do the big projects. So if you want to get off the market quickly and get to the closing table, you need to help them with that. There is no perfect market. There will never be a perfect market. Not a perfect spouse, not a perfect house, not a perfect market. Doesn't happen. However, you can use strategy to time the market for your interests. If you're just a buyer or just a seller, it's not that hard. If you're doing both, it's important to understand, like, maybe you get a better deal than you were expecting on the buy side because the market's a little softer, right? But if you're selling your house, you may not make as much money, but you probably come out okay. And the flip side is true in a seller's market, right? You may make a lot of money, but you may have to pay more than list price if you're really competing in a seller's market like we had during COVID. So it's not about what is the perfect market or when should I move. It's more about what your goals are and the strategy we need to use to get you where you want to go.